For this demonstration, I'm starting off with a TON OFF or ton off instruction to give us a steady beat. And by watching the beat, we can then monitor an RTO as it collects the elapsed time. So now that I have that, I'm going to add another rung. Go to my timers and counters, take my RTO, and put contact ahead of it. Now when you're typing in a known variable and the problem is always getting that last little bit at the end, when it's lit up like that, that's the one you want. If you press your right arrow, it'll jump right to the end, and then you can simply type your .q. So with an RTO, you only have to program the contact that's going to trigger the in, the amount that you want to account, your .pt, and you also have to give it an RST or reset. So you want something that will trigger a reset so that it doesn't continually count forever. You can use the RTO's Q. That's perfectly acceptable. Or you might want to not do that immediately because that will just take it and clear it instantaneously. So you might want to use another input to clear it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a counter and I'm going to say that when I've finished my counter, I'll reset it. Take a counter. And that's going to, when my RTO is finished counting, it's going to trigger an up count. And I'm going to say that when the counter is done, to go ahead and reset, I'll give it a value of 1. Now I can do this a little bit later. I can do this differently a little bit later, just to show you that we can use a counter as a multiplier based on a RTO value. For example, if I was wanting to, without having a RTO that had 10 years, 14 months on it, I can say, okay, I want to count for 1 day, and I want to count the number of times that a machine is running, or in this case a heartbeat. I'll count that, and I can have it count to a reasonable number. Let's say that a complete cycle in this heartbeat would be 25. So I'm going to count those 25 and then retain the amount of time it took to do all 25. Move that into my counter, and I know that that's a multiple. So if I have 3 in there, then I've had 75 cycles go through at a fixed amount of time, and I would know exactly how long it took me to do 75 times because the accumulated count would have been added up. So in the meantime, I'm going to give this a very short time limit. The turn off has a 3 second and 1 second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say my PT time is, again, it's a time data type. And let's just make that something really quick and easy, 50 seconds. And that's pretty much all I need to do. So I'm going to download this to the processor. And it won't really show much because I haven't really done the entire program. I'm going to change it momentarily just to see how this operates. And then we can see what the benefits of using, say, a counter or another such method of capturing that data. So you'll notice that on our heartbeat it's resetting almost instantaneously, and the count is going up to 3 seconds, but it's tripping really fast, so there's no way to really capture it. But if you look below, you can see that the RTO, even though the input turns off for 1 second, it still maintains that, and it carries on continuing the count. You notice now we've gone right past it. It reset the whole thing and it started to count. And we have our count value is 1. That made the count true. Since that was true, it reset the count. So let's change this a bit. And what I want to do is I'm going to add another rung of logic. And I'm going to actually make my life real easy. I'm going to highlight the one, go Control-C copy, Control-C paste, or V paste. I don't need the extra one now. And I'm going to make this the not queue. So the first one, RTO1, is going to count the number of times that the heartbeat cue is true, and the other one's going to count the when the cue is false. So what that basically gives us is one is going to track the amount of uptime we have, and the second one's going to count the downtime that we have when it's not actually doing its job. And I'm going to take this CTU and I'm going to change it somewhat, because to have it reset, it's not really doing anything for us. So I'm going to give this a count of 10, and you'll see that the first uptime count's not going to be triggered because it's not counting 10. So I'm going to change this to itself and let it reset itself. And I'm going to do the same on the RTO2. And I'm going to have it count 10 as well. So it's going to count to 10. The counter will reset itself. The RTOs will reset itself. And you can see that the one is counting the 1 second intervals on our heartbeat, and the other one's counting the 3 second heartbeat. And between the two of them, they're tracking 2 different sets of time, so that you can then use that for maintenance or for production run reports. There's a lot of other applications for it, but those are kind of the 2 primary ones. That if you've run something for a period of time, you want to add something to execute because of that. Or if it's not being run for a certain period of time, you want to execute something. It could be that the pump was supposed to be turned on, it didn't turn on. We take the contactor that says, oh, I'm supposed to be turned on by the logic, but for whatever reason, maybe the overloads are gone, my contacts didn't close, I didn't see that. And after so many seconds of doing that, we're going to retain that, but we're going to turn on an alarm that doesn't get reset and someone pushes a button, so that you can go down and say, okay, yeah, this was trying to run for 3 seconds, it didn't run, we set off the alarm, and until I acknowledge that, I'm not going to clear that time, which is going to continually put that alarm going until I've acknowledged it. So that's basically how a RTO works and operates and how to program it.